Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today it's tier list time and we're moving on to Belarus, who are of course not participating in Eurovision anymore, which is kind of a shame. The more countries the merrier, as we usually say. But they've had a few entries over the years. They debuted in 2004 and competed all the way until 2020. 2021 they tried, but we'll not cover that topic in this video, and I haven't included the song they had that year because I don't really think it counts. Just my take on it. But all of the songs that they've had from 2004 to 2020, I'm going to be putting them into this ranking system right here, and we'll see how fond I am of the Belarusian entries over the years. I just have a sneaking regard that maybe this won't be on par with, say, countries like Armenia or Azerbaijan or Albania, which I've been quite fond of. But we'll see. Maybe I will be surprised myself over how much I like some of these songs. We'll find out. I made sure to listen to the songs that I don't really remember that well one more time before starting this video, so I kind of have some of them fresh in my memory. And one of those is their entry from 2004, which of course was a non-qualifier straight away. This is just an odd one. I can see some kind of appeal for some people because it's very reliant on its world building and it's very unique and out there in that sense. But simply not for me. I think it's a bit incohesive, it's a bit messy all over the place, and just the style that I'm not really fond of particularly. I can appreciate that they're trying something different, but it's just falls kind of flat for me. I don't really think this is a lot to write home about. So a pretty weak debut from Belarus, I think, even though they tried to stand out a little bit. It didn't really follow suit very well for Belarus. They kind of had a weak start. 2005 here, it's another one down here. Very anonymous song in my opinion, in all honesty. The most remarkable thing about it is pretty much the clothing. Yeah, just a big bowl of nothing really from this one. It's kind of the contrary to the 2004 effort, when this one is just kind of forgettable more in a sense. Well, the 2004 is maybe a bit too much in your face, I guess. Seems reasonable enough to me. But yeah, this is a pretty weak start for Belarus in Eurovision in my opinion, and it just got worse. Their effort in 2006, Mum, I have no idea what happened here. This is one of the worst songs I've heard in Eurovision, I think. It's all over the place. It tries to be, energetic and has some attitude to it, but it's just such a mess, really. The instrumental of it is all over the place. It's very loud, it's very obnoxious in a sense. The vocal arrangement doesn't really work in its favor with that either. There's no dynamic to that. It's all over the place as well. It's all just very explosive and all over the place. It's very chaotic, I think, and the performance doesn't really back it up. So I think this is a real low point in Belarus's Eurovision history, in all honesty. It's a very depressive start to have as a Eurovision country, but good thing for Belarus that they turned it around real dramatically in 2007. Work Your Magic. This is a prime example of really how to write suspense within music. It's very dramatic and it's very enigmatic, almost to the top where it becomes overbearing. And I see if some people kind of think that about this song, but for me personally, it's just the perfect amount of world building in this song. The instrumental is addictive, kind of to a sense. The sound design of it, the instrumentation, it all just clicks and it all just establishes this world that they're building. The melodies are kind of like the dynamic that they contribute is very mysterious and suspenseful and works really well with this constant instrumental that goes kind of through the motions. There are more restrained tones in the verses, and then the chorus is very it's very dark and kind of spooky, I guess, in a sense. It's very mysterious and it's also very effectively hard-hitting in the chorus, I think, which works so well with the dynamics that the verses offer. And it's also a very memorable hook, which is always a strong point. And then you also add a fantastic stage performance on top of that. Um, just a really well put together package. In 2007, I don't think there are many songs better than this one. Belarus did a complete 180 turn and just went from this to a fantastic entry. That's where I would put it. I mean, for Belarus, this is like, if you compare it to the other songs that they have sent, this is just kind of head and shoulders above the rest. No spoilers intended, but it's just such a complete package and so professionally put together. And I love everything about the musical aspect of it as well. This is a song that I could listen to at any time and just be dragged into and hooked by. Um, I think they kind of tried to follow on a similar path the year after in 2008 when they sent Hasta la Vista. It just didn't really have the same impact though, and the same kind of world building and the same character to it that Work Your Magic had. But I still do think that this is actually a pretty solid effort from Belarus. I would put it up here. I think the hook is somewhat catchy. The instrumental is pretty decent. It's just a nice little package that just didn't really make it through when you saw it live, and you kind of just, it fell through the cracks. It became a little bit forgotten. But I still think there's a solid song in here, and there are good ideas in it. And I think like the chorus is there. It's memorable. It's not as hard hitting as say a Work Your Magic, and I really do think that they've tried to kind of build on the success that was Work Your Magic when they chose this song. Unfortunately for them, it just wasn't enough. But I still think this is a solid effort. I honestly do. Yeah, I would say that. In 2009, they went a bit more rocky with this song called, I think, Ice That Never Lie or something like that. Most thing I remember about it is him being very white. And I think like the backgrounds, maybe they were green. I'm not entirely sure on that, but yeah, he looks very piercing on the screen. The song, it's not overly remarkable, I think. It's a solid kind of rock piece, but it just becomes very forgettable in this. I think I would put it in I like it, but because there are aspects of it that I like, and I kind of like just incorporating the rock aspect of it. There is a hook somewhere here, and there's also like with Work Your Magic and maybe even Hasta La Vista to a sense, there is this sense of suspense in the song. But it just kind of falls flat because the song doesn't have the memorability enough. Whenever I think back of the Belarusian songs, this is just one that gets completely forgotten by me. And it's a shame because I think somewhere in here there are some good ideas, instrumental wise, arrangement wise, but it just never leaves an imprint in my mind. And I think I'll have to put it down here because of that. 2010, they sent a song called Butterflies. Very pretty with the staging layout, but this song is overly slow. It is overly reliant on this kind of peaceful mood that it's setting, and it wants to be really beautiful, but for me, it just doesn't work. It's a not for me because it's just too slow. It's too uninteresting for me. I don't really think there's anything to latch onto in this song. The whole selling point of it is when the butterfly wings open on stage, and that's kind of not really what your song should have as a selling point. It should be the song that's the selling point. But this one just moves too slowly. It's too uninteresting for me, and I just can't get behind it. It feels a bit harsh putting it between these two songs that I have nothing positive to say about, because I think there are positives about this one, but at the same time, I'm just too uninterested in it. So it has to be down here. Then I Love Belarus came along. This is catchy. It has its own kind of unique tone as well. And I think the hook is memorable, and how it goes with the instrumental is also quite strong. I would actually go as far and say that this is a solid effort. It feels a bit weird when you listen to it, like the whole I Love Belarus concept of just lyrical content, and then the hook might be a little bit repetitive, but it's still, it has charm and character to it, which I can't really I can't be upset about that, and I can't really drag it down because of that. Because I think this song, it's charming and it has something unique about it, and it's just a solid little package of things that can be enjoyed. And I'm quite fond of some of the parts. I'm quite not so fond on other parts, but it's still just a middle of the road, kind of enjoyable song for 3 minutes, and then I'll forget about it afterwards. But I think it's still solid, so I'll put it here. I would say that another solid song is "We Are the Heroes" here from 2012. Another non-qualifier. There's a lot of non-qualifiers for Belarus. I think we had 2 qualifiers so far. It's "Work Your Magic" and "Butterflies," and then everything else has missed out. This one, though, I think has a very strong hook. It's quite. It has a nice flow in the song as well. I'm a bit disappointed in them because I remember, when was I back here, like 14, 15 years old. And I remember like the first version of this song was a rock version. It was a rock song at first, and it really just fit that. And then they revamped it, of course, and they made this more restrained, poppy, ambition for it, or the approach that they took. And it just kind of lost that impact and that punch that the chorus actually had. And it felt more like it wanted to appeal to the wider audiences, while in reality, I think it could have benefited from really sticking to the dominant tone of the rock vibe that it had. And I think that is a shame. But still, even after the revamp and everything, I still think it's a solid effort. It's just not very impressive. It feels very middle of the road, and yeah, it doesn't leave a massive imprint on the head. But still, the hook is nice. I think the progression of the song is cool, and yeah, I can't really have that many complaints about it. If there was never a previous version of the song that they changed from, I would just say that it's a decent song, and that's all there is to say about it, really. So I put it in solid. I think we're gonna have some solid songs here. Soleo, it's catchy. It is. But no, it's just solid for me. I don't really remember it that well. 2013 is a very forgettable year for me personally. I don't really attach myself to a lot of the songs in that year, so maybe this could harm Soleo in particular. But the only real part of this song that I actually remember is the hook, with the choreography as well, with the cha-cha arms cross thingy. But that's really all that leaves an imprint on my head with this one. Can't really get behind it because of that. So I just think it's solid. It's very, yeah, it's next to these songs. It's not a very strong, solid category, and maybe Soleo is towards the top of these, but I still just think that the song here doesn't really have much more than a catchy chorus, and that's why it lands here. A song which I think does have more than a catchy chorus is Cheesecake, because this has a lot of character to it. It's fun, it's tongue-in-cheek, and it's catchy along with it. Also quite memorable, and it's done with the best type of intention that it could be done. It's very charming, and it's very light-hearted and harmless, and it's just a really great package. I really do think so. It's being sold very well on stage. It really just drives home the whole fun approach that it really wants to transmit. The song is memorable, has a nice progression throughout. I like some of the instrumental ideas, and I also like the playfulness of it, both songwriting wise, performance wise, and yeah, just like the whole thing that they put together here. It's done with a great purpose, and it's done with so much charm that it's just really enjoyable for me. So I think this is a really great entry. I really do. And then after Cheesecake, we had Time. This is a very, I would say that this is a very underrated song in terms of Eurovision results, because the song that's right here, I think it's very strong. It has a very memorable hook. It does really nice incorporation with the violin throughout, and while also having the beat very dominant and driving throughout. Also quite well performed. I like the lighting on stage. I like the presence on stage from the performers. Really great. I really do think so. I don't really understand why it missed out. I mean, the 2015 final was so ballad heavy as well that surely this song could have elevated something in it. I don't remember like the semi allocation in 2015, but there were a few ballads that finished towards the bottom that we definitely could have been without in that final. And I think this one could have taken one of those places to really just add some energy to the whole selection. A really great entry from Belarus, I really do think so. A shame it didn't work out. Next up, we had Help You Fly. Yeah, in 2016. It was a weird packaging. The song has a memorable hook, but it doesn't really have much more than that. And just the weird packaging on stage, like the visual effects of him completely naked, touching wolves, and no. I like it, maybe. I like the hook of it, and I also think the instrumental has a very nice tone to it. There is some kind of atmosphere within this song that is pretty palpable. But the whole packaging, the whole performance, just no. So it really drags it down there, I think. Then we have Historia, yeah, some Belarusian title, 2017. Very energetic song, very enjoyable in that sense, I think. I wasn't super fond of the live performance with this boat that they were standing on, but it's fine. I guess I just had kind of the imprint in my head of them running around in the forest, and that's kind of what I what I just associated the song with, and then this was like a 180 turn to that. But still, I like the upbeat approach that they have here. It's very lighthearted. It tries to be very joyous and just happy and energetic and put a smile on your face. And I think it kind of manages to do that. But at the same time, when the song just keeps going and going and going, it gets a bit dragged out. I think it's another solid entry, to be honest. This is very top tier of the solid entries, but I wouldn't put it next to these two. I really wouldn't. Not for my personal taste, in all honesty. I think it's a solid effort, but it doesn't quite go all the way there because I kind of think the song keeps going too much and it just doesn't really have the dynamic progression that I really would have wanted it to towards the end there. Yeah, I remember like the first time I heard the song though, I really latched onto it, but I think it's just grown off me a lot when time has passed. So maybe that's why. Yeah. You're free to complain all you want about where I place these songs, because I can understand that if you look at this tier here, you kind of see these two songs to the right and you compare it to these three, and maybe you think, how are those in the same tier? But you have to keep in mind there are only 7 tiers, and I think all of these songs, I would consider them solid. But there are different grades within solid, I guess. 2018, Forever. This one, I guess, divides a lot of opinions. I've seen some people think it's one of the worst things they've ever seen because it's so like over dramatic on stage. The song is quite over dramatic. I still don't think that the song that is here is really well put together. It has a very emotional delivery in the opening half with the piano-driven arrangement, and then the final section of the song is very electronica inspired, hard-hitting, massive synths. I think it sounds great, I really do. And I'm one of these people who are really dragged into this performance. I like the whole rose theme. I like the kind of horror-inspired ending with the roses covering his back. I know some people think it looks ridiculous. That's fine. I actually just like the whole theme of it, and I'm really into it. I quite like the romanticism of like it's a very flirty kind of thing to the romantic period in time. And I just like the whole concept of that combining with this modern production as well. It feels just like a nice combination of ideas that really tries to take inspiration from darker themes and then incorporate modern production ideas within music and kind of just make this mash of that. I don't know, it's just a lot of thoughts going through my head right now about this song. I always really just enjoy thinking about this song because I quite really enjoy it. And if I were to be subjective completely in my taste, which I'm gonna be, I think this is a fantastic entry from Belarus. A shame it didn't really work out, and I get why it didn't. It's very overdramatic. It might be a bit slow at parts. But for me personally, when I sit down and I watch it and I listen to it for 3 minutes, I'm very heavily invested in it throughout the whole thing. So I would put this up in Fantastic. It's fine if you disagree. But yeah, do tell me what you think of this song in the comments, because that would be interesting. You're free to, of course, tell me what you think of all of these songs in the comments. But I think this one is very interesting because it seems to divide a lot of opinions. 2019, Like It. They were back in the final with this one. I don't really think it's like, if I compare to other countries where I've put some songs in really great, I think that this one is slightly below it. I think this one is solid, but it's very close to the really great category because I love the energy of it. I think the production quality of it is pretty solid. I'm liking the progression, especially like the verses flow really well in the song, and the chorus is also really memorable, and I'm liking everything that they've done on stage as well. It's very close to being this tier. I might even move it. I'm just trying to think of like other songs from other countries that I've put up here, and it might not really be on par with those for me personally. So I'm gonna stick it here. But it just feels like when you compare it to the 2008, 2011, and 2012 efforts, I prefer this a lot. I prefer it over Soleil a lot as well, and I prefer it over 2017. I think it's the best one out of these, but I can't move it up to these. I don't think I can, to be honest. It's very strong effort. If I say that it's a very strong effort, maybe it belongs up here. You know what? You can decide. Everyone leave an opinion of whether you think it's a solid or really great entry, and I'll move it off camera later, depending on where most of you put it. It is a great entry though, and I'm really liking the energy of it. I'm liking the attitude of it a lot as well, and the performance is very well put together. So a nice one. Finally, 2020, Belarus did not go out with a bang. I despise this song with a passion, to be honest. I think the chorus or the instrumental hook of it is completely dreadful. It sounds awful. It's like a kazoo-inspired, digitalized vocal chop that is quite monotonous as well. Doesn't work at all for me. The vocal parts of the verses are quite uninteresting. It doesn't really offer a lot of energy throughout the song either. And I'm just sitting, in all honesty, I'm sitting there quite bored up until the hook comes, and then I kind of just get pissed off instead because I think it sounds dreadful. Yeah, it's a harsh kind of critique to leave, but I really don't find any positive redeeming qualities in this song right here. So I think Belarus went out in the worst way possible that they could have. Maybe one day we'll get them back, and maybe one day we'll get some more Work Your Magic type of songs, which would be awesome. But this was not the way to go. It ended up being like that, and it's a shame because this is among my least favorites in like the most modern Eurovision period, I have to say. And that is my tier list for Belarus. This one is a bit of a weird one, because I understand that the solid category is very, very all over the place. But at the same time, I don't think I can drag any of these songs down, and I don't think I can drag any of the songs up either. So it just had to be a lot of songs in the solid category. That happens sometimes. Do tell me what you would change in this list in the comments. I bet it's a lot, so feel free to mention whatever you want about it, like what you most want to say. I'm looking forward to reading that. I always love it when you leave comments, so please do if you have anything that you think is worthy of saying, because I always like reading them. Hope to see you in the next video as well, where we will talk about Belgium, a pretty strong country in my opinion. They had a bit of a dip in the mid-2000s there, but I think it's a very strong country, especially in recent times in Eurovision. So I'm looking forward to ranking Belgium as well. Hope to see you in that video. Take care of yourselves until then, and bye-bye.